earn more money but too busy to start a side hustle? Do it the right way and teach your money to make more money for yourself, even when you're asleep. Dale Corpus will show you just how here on the School of Cash Flow. With his entrepreneurial mindset and extensive experience in real estate and finance, Dale will help you become a responsible, strategic, and passionate passive real estate investor. Learn how you can increase your earnings or find more ways to make money, only here on the School of Cash Flow.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the School of Cash Flow podcast. I'm the host, Dale Corpus. So we have a great guest on this episode today. His name is Dan Lewkowicz, and he was introduced to me by my friend Todd Sulzinger, who is a past guest on my podcast as well. So many people lately in my circles have been talking about triple net lease investing. And I wanted to bring more experts in that area. So you're in for a great episode today. Here's a little bit more about my guest. Dan Lewkowicz is a seasoned real estate veteran with over 15 years experience in many facets of the real estate industry. He started his career house hacking and he quickly moved on to flip houses around the Metro Detroit area and eventually created a company called Renaissance Real Estate Ventures, which specializes in acquisition, financing, renovation, and resale of single-family properties in the booming city of Detroit, Michigan. So before forming the Lewkowicz group of Encore Real Estate Investment Services, Jan was a senior advisor at Fortis Net Lease, specializing in commercial real estate investment sales. He's also a former business development executive for Amazon in Detroit, Michigan. And currently, Dan is senior director of the Lewkowicz Group of Encore Real Estate Investment Services and specializes in shopping centers, medical office buildings, industrial fulfillment centers, quick service restaurants, and automotive repair and parts stores. Lesser known fact, Dan possesses industry-leading knowledge on cannabis cultivation and its impact on the economy in general and industrial commercial real estate, and specifically. An expert on multifamily and the current economic undercurrents facing the asset class in today's post-COVID world, Dan often expresses the incredible opportunities for investors of all sizes. He's got 4 kids and resides in Birmingham, Michigan with his wife and enjoys running, boxing, lifting weights, yoga, and playing acoustic guitar. So that being said, welcome to the show, Dan. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I love their bio and whatnot. It's like I love the fact that you even play, guitar and are able to balance out your life with exercise, even though you have 4 kids. You beat me. I have only 2. So wanted to just jump right into this. Is there anything in your bio, perhaps, that we could elaborate a little bit more and add some color to it? And also wanted to see what your focus is right now. So let's just start there.
Yeah. So my focus right now is mostly exclusively on net lease investment sales brokerage. I'm a broker and I help investors to buy or sell cash flowing assets, typically triple net assets. So you can think about your major tenants like your Walgreens, Rite Aid, CVS's. We sell a lot of things like quick service restaurants, like fast food stores, some resorts, medical office buildings, industrial products, and assets like that.
I want to definitely delve more into the triple net lease space. I just wanted to ask you, it's like, how did you even get into real estate? It's like, I know that you didn't do this first, and it sounds like you did some corporate work for, but how did that transition all happen?
Yeah, so I guess I would say that my start was really back in 2005 when I helped start a company with some friends called Disability Made Easy, which was a barrier-free home modification company. Yep. I managed the sales and marketing for that company. And I remember that we had hired a project manager to do all of our construction. And I'll never forget going to a site with him to look at a specific property. And we got there and I was, a young guy driving with a project manager. And I looked over and I said, man, what are we going to do with this property? It looks all outdated and, functionally obsolete. And he said, hold on one second, Dan. And he took out his graph paper and his pencil. And in 45 seconds or so, he sketched a brand new front elevation for the property. And from that moment on, I recognized that there was, an opportunity to take something that might, have worked at a certain point in time, maybe it has good bones, but has an opportunity to be repurposed into something that's better suited for its occupant or for its resident. So, fast forward a few years later, when it came time for me to buy my first home, I was looking at some property that was, all ready to go, move-in ready, and was interested in possibly purchasing it. And then I noticed that just a few streets over, there was a bank-owned asset that had good bones, good structure, but was completely outdated and had some elements that most homeowners would not have enjoyed. So bought that property, renovated it. I ended up spending a lot of time on the job site learning about renovations, and that's kind of what got me into house flipping to begin with. I always did that as a side gig. And then through the years, I have some other experience. I was the development director at a large Jewish day school. As you mentioned, I worked for Amazon. Yeah. And a few years ago, when I finally left, the corporate world, I jumped full time into commercial real estate investment sales brokerage. And that's where things really changed, because I was able to, take my time and leverage my time to be able to work directly with investors and broker sales of properties.
Okay, got it. I mean, looks like with the Renaissance Real Estate Ventures, you were doing, rehabs of single family homes. Do you still do that? Or are you doing residential investing more so? Or have you moved everything more so to the commercial side?
Yeah, no, more so over to the commercial side.
In terms of the triple net lease space, I'm going to talk about that. So a lot of people are new to that are listening to this. Let's even start there next. And can you elaborate what is a triple net lease?
Okay, great. So a triple net lease stands for three different categories of expenses that are actually paid for by the tenant. So I like to explain triple net lease by contrasting it to something like multifamily. In a multifamily property, you're going to have, all of your rental income and maybe some ancillary income. And then you're going to have a whole barrage of expenses, right? You'll have management, you'll have capital expenditures, you'll have vacancies, you'll have repairs, insurance, taxes, etc. So if your income is, let's say, $100,000, you might have $50,000 of expenses, making your net operating income, 50 grand. Whereas if you have a triple net building, that it's very different, because in a triple net property, the tenant actually pays for the taxes, the tenant pays for the insurance, the tenant pays for any common area maintenance if there is any, and the tenant pays for repairs to roof structure, parking, etc. So there are actually no landlord responsibilities whatsoever. So that's why it's called triple net. So you've got those three different categories of N. So those are all paid for by the tenant. So when the landlord has a lease stating that he'll make $100,000 of rent collection, that's actually going to be the bottom line. That's going to be the take home, the net operating income as well.
Okay, got it. I've also heard the term absolute net lease. Does that fall in the same category, or is there a difference?
Yeah, so it depends on where you are in the country. I like to use the term absolute triple net because that gets rid of any ambiguity. Yep. So that's the type of lease where everything is paid for by the tenant, all the expenses. There's a double net lease where the roof and structure and sometimes the parking lot as well, that's paid for by the tenant. In some cases, they call a triple net deal what I would call a double net deal. That's why I like to just say absolute triple net, because that's the least amount of ambiguity, and that includes the tenant paying for all of the expenses.
What kinds of tenants are doing triple net leases? Is it is it like I know that Walmart doesn't, but are there smaller companies smaller than Walmart that do them? I mean, I'm just trying to understand that as well.
Yeah. So typically they are large corporations, but you have franchisees as well that can have as few as just a few locations that have triple net leases. So think about fast food restaurants. Some of them will have a corporate guarantee from the entire corporation, and some of them will have a guarantee from the franchisee. And a franchisee could be as small as 1 or 2 or maybe 3 units.
Okay. How passive is a triple net lease investment compared to other real estate investments, such as multifamily? It seems like multifamily is where most people end up starting at, or there's a lot of folks in that space.
Well, the answer to your question is it's completely passive. Like we talked about before, in multifamily, you have all different types of expenses, and you also have management. With an absolute triple net lease, you have a tenant that's paying for everything. So some people call them coupon clippers. These are literally deals that you just get a check in the mail every month.
Okay, got it. And what are the different types of like asset classes, for in the triple net lease space?
So you've got industrial, like, fulfillment centers, FedEx grounds, properties like that. You've got office buildings. You've also got medical office. You've got pharmacies. That's a big one. You've got quick service restaurants. And then, you've got, other types of retail. Sometimes you have multi-tenant retail. That's another asset class. In many cases, those are, double net lease structures or modified gross lease structures, but that's going to be, a location that has many tenants in one building.
Okay, got it. For folks that are, again, newer to the space, I mean, what are the inherent risks and whatnot, and when somebody's considering a triple net lease investment?
So the risks in a single tenant net lease asset would be that the tenant vacates. Now, if a tenant does vacate, and there's a corporate guarantee, the parent company is still obligated in the lease. In fact, when you sign a lease and there's unless the company goes through bankruptcy, you're still going to be able to collect rent. Now, when you have a property that's dark or vacant, it's not going to be as attractive. However, that's definitely one of the benefits of having a triple net lease, is that the guarantee is going to be from typically a corporation. And in that case, if they have other locations, those locations guarantee the rental income that the tenant is signing for, guaranteeing on the lease.
Okay, I got it. And then just for the clarification aspect of things, I know that when somebody buys like a single tenant, like fast food, type of investment or whatnot, say it was Burger King or whatnot, they don't own the business. They just own the property. Is that correct? Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. And then for folks that are buying their first triple net type of investment, is there any type of asset class in that space that they tend to gravitate to, to purchase first versus others?
It all really depends, probably mostly on their price point. Some people are constrained to a smaller price point, and they might be starting with maybe a dollar store or with a fast food restaurant. There are some multi-tenant properties that are, $800,000, $900,000, $1 million as well. So, it all depends on what the person's looking for and how much capital they have access to.
Okay, I got it. And so of the, I'm just curious because I don't know the answer of the different types of asset classes in this space, then which one is typically the, which categories are typically the easier ones to enter because of the friendlier price points?
That'd be more like a smaller shopping center or a dollar store typically, or maybe a lower priced fast food deal.
Okay. And I know you're obviously a commercial real estate broker. Do you only help clients buy these types of investments in the state in which you live, or is it all? Okay, it's nationwide. Okay, yeah. That's really good to know. And then of the different asset types, do you favor do you primarily focus on one particular one over like all the others, or how does that work for you?
I've been doing a lot of single tenant net leased restaurants, like fast food restaurants, as well as medical office buildings. And then recently I started doing some resorts as well. Okay.
And then what kinds of investor clients do you help? Is it both brand new investors and seasoned, or is it, do you differentiate between the two?
Most of my clients are seasoned investors, but I do also assist, newer investors as well.
There's a lot of information for folks. Obviously, I'm going to say multifamily again, just because a lot of folks, they understand it and whatnot. And there's a lot of information to learn how to start investing over in that area, but not so much in the triple net space. And that's probably even one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you too, because I don't know as much in this space, but there's a lot more chatter about it in my own network. So where do you recommend that people get educated so that they feel comfortable to pull a trigger on this type of investment?
So I've got a show that's on about commercial real estate. We talk a lot about triple net investment sales. You can check that out at danontop.com. That's danontop.com. And, it's a good resource. We've got at this point, probably 160 episodes or so of great guests from all over the world talking about real estate.
Okay, I got it. Is there any other special, books or any other trainings or whatnot that you would recommend besides that as well?
There's Alan Fruitman has a good book on the 1031 exchange. I'd recommend that as well.
Like for folks that are just newer to real estate investing, I know in the multifamily world, it's hard for them to get the attention of a commercial real estate broker. I'm assuming it's the same over in the triple net lease investment world as well. I mean, what advice you have for new investors to kind of just get the attention, get the broker's ear, that they're serious and whatnot, that they want to pull a trigger and get an investment?
Yeah, they should just be, forthright about it. If they're just looking for information, they should state that. Or if they're, a serious buyer or a serious seller, they should let the broker know so that the broker is, having a good usage of their time and resources.
Okay, got it. So in terms of your own investments, I'm curious, is it like you mentioned that it's mainly in commercial versus residential? What types of things are you investing in right now, and why?
So I currently am not investing in commercial real estate.
Okay, got you. Are you still investing? Are you investing at all on the residential side?
Not very much. There occasionally I'll look at a residential property and potentially for a flip.
Okay, I got you. And I wanted to ask you, what prompted you to become I'm a residential real estate broker and whatnot. What made you become a commercial real estate broker? I don't know as many as I do residential real estate brokers. Were you looking at one or the other, or did you know already you wanted to do commercial?
I mean, I had done a lot in residential on the investment side, and I thought that there's a few reasons. Number one, the fees are larger in commercial real estate, much larger. And number two, typically I'm dealing with investors that are, less emotionally motivated in their decision making than I would be if I was dealing with residential agents. So that was all important to me. And then I also felt that I had access to a broad inventory, being that we sell property all over the country.
Yeah. What's your typical client profile? What's your target client avatar of folks that you're helping in your real estate brokerage business?
I mean, it'd be anybody who owns net lease investment properties.
Got you. And then again, anywhere over the country. So cool. And how recession proof, or even how pandemic proof is a triple net lease investment? And are there any other, are there any asset types inside the space that are more recession proof than others?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question that we get a lot. So many of our assets have actually fared better during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Cap rates on pharmacies have gone down significantly. They've seen excuse the pun, but a major shot in the arm, thanks to vaccines being rolled out. Dollar stores have also seen their cap rates compress, largely due to the fact that those are essential retailers. They were open for business during the entire pandemic, pretty much. Tire stores as well, or automotive supply stores, those have seen a decrease in cap rates, and the industrial sector in general has seen a marked decrease in cap rate.
Okay, I got it. When you're helping sellers and whatnot evaluate their property, let's say it was a shopping center, what's the how do you even figure out how much it's worth?
So for a shopping center, I'll need to take a look at the rent roll and the profit and loss report, and then what I'll do is I will take a look at other comparable properties, and I'll put together a proposal that outlines exactly what we feel the property is worth. So that's based a little bit on data, and also a little bit on experience, kind of a blend of the two.
I know a lot of these leases is it fair to say that a lot of these leases are about 10 years, even longer? Or what's a typical time frame for a triple net lease from a tenant?
I mean, many of the leases start at 10, 15, or 20 years, and then obviously they can have time burned off of them. For multi-tenant shopping centers and stuff like that, sometimes you'll see 3 to 5 year leases. But in general, these are very long lease terms.
I've never seen a contract for one or lease agreement or whatnot. So how do they adjust for, are there already built-in adjustments and whatnot for rent increases, or how does that work?
Sure. So some properties like dollar stores typically are flat leases, and many pharmacies are flat, meaning there are no bumps. But most other triple net leases have built-in rental escalations at a certain percentage per year, or in some way following the consumer pricing index.
Okay, I get it. Um, and so like when you are, talking to sellers and whatnot, when they're considering selling, if they're figuring out if right now is the right time to sell, or should they wait a year, or should they wait 6 months, or whatever, how you got a seller through that process?
I mean, it's all based on what they need. At this point, I mean, it's a hot market. Things are flying off the shelves. So if people have properties, if they want to know what they're worth, because it's a great time potentially to sell the properties.
Okay, got it. And like for folks that are investing in this space, I like what are things that they do to diversify their triple net lease investing portfolio? I mean, are they diversifying with different asset types in that space? Is it diversifying tenants, diversifying locations, or what do you advise people on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a diverse portfolio. So I advise people if they have a lot of, fast food restaurants, maybe it makes sense to add a dollar store. If they have a lot of dollar stores, maybe it makes sense to add a pharmacy. Although there are certain investors that are, bullish on a specific asset class in triple net, and that's what they do. So it's teach their own.
Are you noticing that like a lot of triple net investors, that they're mainly only doing that, or are they also doing, multifamily as well? Or what are you seeing in your own, with your own client
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. A lot of my clients are well diversified in other asset classes as well. There are some that are highly focused on triple net. So it really depends.
Okay, I got it. What are your thoughts in this space, just over the next decade even? Like how do you feel just about any developments in the space at all, just bullish, or how do you feel?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we'll have to see. Interest rates are scheduled to rise, I believe, three or four times this year. So typically when interest rates rise, we do see cap rates rising. So that's another reason why now would be a good time to sell your property. It's really hard to predict, moving forward with too much accuracy.
Out of curiosity, I know that you've been helping, a lot of folks obviously get, investments and whatnot. Any cool stories, any horror stories of just, of folks, maybe not even those you help, but other folks that you've heard stories of in this space? I'm just kind of, because I don't understand all the pitfalls and whatnot, but I'm just trying to understand if there are any, like what kinds of things can go sideways in this type of investment, if there is anything related to that you could even share.
Good question. I did have a deal recently that was a shorter term Wendy's deal where we were under contract. I was representing the seller. And during the due diligence period, the tenant actually reached out to the buyer, unbeknownst to myself or the seller, indicating that they had no intention of staying in the property. Typically that type of information wouldn't be shared with a buyer, but that obviously blew that deal up, because the buyer had hoped that they were going to stay, and having had that revelation had caused them to change their investment strategy for that deal.
Okay, I got you. In terms of like your brokerage and whatnot and your team, I'm curious how you run your business and whatnot. Like more so because I'm a residential realtor, I have no idea how it works on your side. How do you source your leads, and how big's your team, and like what are the rules that people play?
Good question. So a lot of the lead sourcing is done by creating databases of the owners of specific properties, and then calling them or emailing them. I do get inbound leads now from my show on commercial real estate. And then in terms of the team, right now we have one intern and two brokers, and they're doing their cold calling and sending out emails and sourcing deals that way.
Okay, I got it. What type of advice do you have for somebody that's an aspiring triple net lease investor that's starting off this journey? What advice would you give to them? Where should they start?
Yeah, I mean, make sure you start with a good broker, somebody who knows the industry and who's going to have your best interest in mind. And that's definitely really important. And make sure that you read all the fine print in the lease, so that there aren't any co-tenancy clauses or things that you might not be aware of.
Can we talk about that? I'm going to go back and backtrack a little bit, because I don't even know what co-tenancy means in the space. So Can you elaborate on what co-tenancy is and why somebody should be aware of it?
Yeah, so there's one of the first deals I actually worked on was a PetSmart, and the owner of the PetSmart actually had no idea that there was a co-tenancy clause in the lease. Now, what a co-tenancy clause means is that in the event that, in this example, the anchor tenant, so I think it was a Lowe's or Walmart, but in the event that they would vacate the shopping center, yep, PetSmart was able to decrease their rent by 50% immediately. So the owner didn't even know that, when he bought the property. So when I was doing an evaluation for him, I brought that to his attention and, showed him how that would have an impact on the cap rate if we were to list the property for sale.
In terms of, getting your deals, you do a lot of cold calling. How important is networking and whatnot to get your business?
And networking is very important, especially on social media. I tend to, utilize LinkedIn a lot for my, networking with potential clients and other brokers. And, that for me has been a great lead source.
I want to just jump into some other final questions. I wanted to ask you, so what are you excited about in your business right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. What am I excited about? I'm excited about this new year. I'm excited about 2022 to see what it brings. And I'm excited for people that are, getting into the space and hopefully becoming very successful at it, either as investors or as brokers.
No, absolutely. And any big goals that you're working on even this year, either personal or business or both?
Yeah, personal goal is to strengthen my marriage with my lovely wife, Brady. Business goal is to help some of my new agents to succeed.
And I like to ask this of my guests. And so what is success? And you can answer it any way you want. What does success mean to you?
Good question. What does success mean to me? I think success to me means fulfillment and happiness and, enjoying what I'm doing, feeling secure.
What's your superpower that's contributed to your success?
I like to say it's my smile. And I think that my smile comes through when I'm talking to people.
That's awesome. And is there anything else that you wanted to, in last words for our audience, or anything, information or anything you wanted to share or direct them to?
Yeah, I mean, just if there's anything I can do to add value, please reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation or to discuss how I can add value in any way possible.
Got you. And lastly, how can somebody get a hold of you?
So you can call me at 248-943-2838. Again, 248-943-2838. You can also check out my website. As I mentioned, it's danontop.com. It's danontop.com. We also have for people who want to learn about commercial real estate brokerage, and that's called the CRE Pro Course. So that is CREProcourse.com. Again, CREProcourse.com. Okay.
Oh, I'm curious. Like, what's in that course? Is it specific to triple net lease investing, or is it?
No, it's not.
As a whole, yeah.
Specific to commercial brokerage in general.
Okay, got it. So that's perfect. And is it directed towards like real estate investors, or is it the brokerage business, or both?
Agents and investors, mostly agents.
Perfect. Yeah. No, that's perfect. I'd love to check it out. So, well, thanks for being on my show. That's a wrap, folks. Dan, again, thanks for being on this episode. Enjoyed our conversation. I learned a lot, and I value your time and knowledge. To my listeners, feel free to reach out to Dan directly and reach out to him for questions. And thank you for checking out this episode of the School of Cash Flow. Remember to leave me a podcast review on iTunes, as it helps me attract even more great guests just like Dan. So until next time, live life abundantly.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the School of Cash Flow. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks you can use to help you on your passive investing journey. In the meantime, you may visit www.cashflowschoolpodcast.com for more great episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. That's all for this episode, folks. See you next time.